All right, so we're going to deal with some fractions here. And one of the things you need to be aware of here, well, there's a couple rules here, but remember whenever you divide by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this number right here and we are going to flip it. The second thing we need to be aware of here is that there's a negative here and there's a negative here. And I want to remind you that anytime that we're multiplying or dividing two negatives, in this case we're dividing two negatives, that's the same as having a positive value. So let's go over to our workspace here and let's tackle this. So if we take a look at this, right now we're going to first, things first, we've got to um, flip this number right here around. So we're going to write this again, negative 20 over 7, and we're going to multiply it this time by 35 over 12. Now, again, this is still a negative. Now, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try um, and reduce, because the reality is we could take our 20 times 35 and end up with a huge number between these two right here. And then we could take our 7 times 12 and we could divide those two, but they want us to give us the simplest form answer, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to try and reduce as much as we can. And just remember that if we have something on the top and the bottom, they can cancel each other out. Or if something can be divided in the top and the bottom, we can cancel each other out. So if you take a look right here, we have 7. Now, 7 doesn't go into 20, but 7 does go into 35. So if we divided both 7 and 35 by 7, wouldn't we end up right here with 1 and this being 5? And then similarly, if we look over here, we have 20 and we have 12. Now, when I first was doing this problem, I was like, oh yeah, divide by 2. And then I ended up with 10 and 6. And then I was like, oh yeah, I can divide by 2 again. And I did it again. So instead of doing that and not being as smart, couldn't I take both these and divide them by 4? This and this and this. And when I do that, what I'm going to end up with is I'm going to end up with this being 5 and this being 3. Now that is a whole lot easier number to deal with, because if we multiply this out, I'm going to turn back to our answer number here. It's not going to be 5 times 5 on the top, just in case you're wondering where I got that, 5 times 5. And that's going to give us 25 on the top. And then on the bottom, we're going to have 1 times 3. And so we're going to put a 3 down below. And that is not reducible anymore. Now, lest you think I ignored this, remember we had a negative here and we had a negative here. A negative and negative, they give us a positive. So this right here is our final answer. Hopefully this has been helpful.